It is Thursday. I made it through the week. Guess today is my Friday. Hopefully, we will be doing another Virginia Reloaded pretty soon. Today, we have a very special guest. But before we get to that, just as a reminder, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/John Crump. And everything on that Patreon goes to help support projects that are near and dear to my heart. We are also brought to you by Tusk. Tusk is the only gun-friendly cryptocurrency on the market.
Proudly sponsored by TUSC, the only cryptocurrency designed with the firearms market in mind, with 3-second processing times. It's the fastest cryptocurrency on the planet. With lower transaction fees than traditional credit cards. It's perfect for your e-commerce needs. For gun guys, by gun guys. Visit TUSC.network for more information and join the digital revolution.
And we are also sponsored by Black Swan Tactical, my t-shirt shop. All the proceeds go to supporting projects that I do.
Black Swan Tactical, your number one source for 2A streetwear. With shirts, mugs, hats, patches, flags, and more. There's always something to help you rep the 2A community. All proceeds go back into our projects. Viewers and listeners can take an additional 10% off with code CRUMPY. Unapologetically pro-gun, pro-liberty, and pro-freedom gear for the front lines of the culture war.
And with that out of the way, let me bring on our guest of the day. She is a good friend of mine, and she's going to be one of the subjects of an upcoming book that I'm writing. Find out more about that. And yes, I do wear glasses. I just don't usually wear them on stream. Her name is Kerry Slone, and she is from We the Female. So let's all give her a big round of applause and bring her on. What
Hey,
Kerry?
let me see if I can fix my lighting there. Is that a little bit better? Or am I
That's
is
whatever.
that all right? How's it going?
Not bad, not bad. It looks like you're in a smoky room.
Yeah, it's my I don't have a webcam.
Yeah, it's all right.
My daughter is now going to my daughter's in college now. And not I guess
Wow.
not quote unquote, she really is in college. And so the webcam has been hijacked and I just haven't taken the time to buy a new one. So that was on my agenda this afternoon, and I was like, "Oh shit, you meant by your time, not."
Yeah, it's close enough.
So I made some adjustments. So here I am. How's it going?
Not bad. I wanted to talk to you today about what's going on in Washington State as well as what's going on in Washington D.C. So let's start out with Washington State really quick. What is the gun sense out there right now?
Well, I think there's a couple of really cool things that have happened recently out our direction, and I have to acknowledge some people with that as well. Last year we, for whatever reason, everybody finally woke up, and I know that a lot of that had to do with Dan Mitchell from Sporting Systems and his federal lawsuit against the state, along with NRA. I think GOA might be involved with that. I know Second Amendment Foundation is. And so I think that kind of helped bring it to the forefront. I mean, we tried to get it recalled, and it was, we came close to getting all the signatures that we needed, but we couldn't get them all. But we were blown away at how many people had absolutely no idea what 1639 even said. It was definitely the classic textbook. It doesn't affect me because I have a rifle, the classic FUD kind of thing. We literally had people go in to buy a rifle, couldn't buy one, got pissed off, came out and signed it because they never read it. So that really helped. And so then we ended up, he and then another gentleman, Curtis Bingham. I mean, there's a lot of other people involved with this, but these two in particular really had a lot to do with it. They reformatted a Facebook group and into a legislative action group, and John, and you know this with advocacy, people are inherently lazy. They really don't want to do anything
Yes.
if they have to put work into it.
Yes.
And so Curtis literally took the lazy out of people, and he does these graphics. He's like, here's your easy action of the day. Call your legislator with this, boom, 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 talking points. I've done template emails to send or phone calls to make. And I've just this year I started doing something else, and remind me, I'll tell you about it. What I've started doing, and it looks like I'm going to be doing them as webinars as well, due to demand. Yeah. But they started this Facebook group, and gun owners started joining it. So now they're not feeling quite as overwhelmed. And so last year we had, we outnumbered for the standard capacity mag ban bill, and there was one other one, and I can't remember what it was, that actually made the news. We outnumbered the Moms Demand and Everytown and anti-gun lobbies probably 10 to 15 people to 1 to show up in person to testify. I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal. Fast forward to this year, right? So it ends up on the table. Side note, for those of you that are watching this, whenever you see anybody celebrating because you killed a bill, you didn't kill shit. They're going to bring it back. They just put it on the table at the back, and they're always going to bring it back. They're like herpes, man. You just can't get rid of them. You just kind of you treat them for a little bit, and they go away, and they come back like a bad cold sore. So they did it again. They brought it back, and they added to it the open carry ban, and that one's got an interesting little spin on it, the First Amendment spin on it. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. But for the standard capacity mag ban, we had as pro-gun over 2,000 people sign in to testify on the Zoom meetings, because these are all obviously virtual now, and under 1,000, I think it was like 800. I don't even think it was 800 that signed in against it. And then the next day for the open carry, they had over 3,000 sign in to testify, and under 1,000. So it's interesting that, when I see a lot of people out there talk about, in the pro gun side, how these people just outnumber us and they're in masses. They're really not. I've seen it personally, firsthand myself. And, and then watching the temperature of these things, they're really not the numbers that you think they are. But for whatever reason, people like to use it as an excuse to not fight. So let that be a lesson to you that is certainly not the case. And when you show up in numbers, it can make a difference. I won't say it always does. Obviously, 40,000 people in Virginia. And that didn't happen this year, and look what happened. So
it made a difference. In fact, last night it made a difference. And in my local county, they wanted to do a ordinance that banned carrying of firearms in parks. They wanted to do that a while ago, and then they put an exception for concealed carry in parks and outdoors, but not indoors. And last night, so many people showed up and spoke that we were able to kill it again, but it's going to come back. It's going to keep on coming back over and over and over again. The hangover, like you said, it's like herpes. I don't know why the camera keeps on going out, but whatever.
That's okay.
And the hangover, the doctor said what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Besides herpes, that shit comes home with you. I don't know if you remember that.
I do. I do.
So you're exactly right. When you said that, that's what it reminded me of. So it always does come back, but we just have to keep on pushing back. And in Virginia, I'm telling you, it's amazing. You'll have like 1 or 2 people, if that, speaking on the anti-gun side, and then you will have like 50 people or 100 people. Usually we have a couple hundred people show up to speak. And it's just like, hey, look at all these people. And it does make a difference, because politicians, what they care about is getting reelected. Let's be honest.
They don't give a shit about us. And honestly, most of them don't even give a shit about the guns and this and that and other. And
no,
so
it's all about reelection.
Yeah.
So if they think they're not going to get reelected, then guess what they're going to do?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's where Northam is there, right? I mean, he knows that his time is up, so he's then just going to throw everything out there
Well,
and get what he can, right?
in Virginia, you can't run twice as governor in a row.
Right, right. So he's just like, fuck it. I'm just going to throw it all on the table and do what I can. So in Washington State, and this is going to lead into something that I've started doing. I may do this as a fundraiser for We the Female, just because of the kind of time it's going to take me. Getting paid to do it isn't as big of a deal, but the donations would be great. But what drove me to that, and I'll get to that in a minute, is sorry, I'm conscious stream thinking, is I read the bill and the open carry bill here, and the way it's written is essentially the short of it, and to make it super simple, the way that it's written would, for example, if there were 4 or 5 people standing on a street corner in Seattle wearing MAGA wear and then yelled, fuck Biden or something like that, the way that bill is written is if that happens and somebody gets pissed off, they can call it in as a unpermitted protest or a protest, and now they're open carrying it at a protest. And as I've said before with a lot of this stuff, if you've heard me before, you've heard me say this, it's not how bills are written, it's how bills are not written that you have to watch out for, because how they're not written is what allows them to open everything up. And I'm looking at you, Dan Crenshaw, and your support of the TAPS Act. So, and that's how they work that shit around. Don't even get me started. Like, that's a whole other episode. He and Lauren Boebert, don't even get me started on her, because I'm so pissed at her, I can't stand it. So, and I don't hate her. Let me be clear, because everybody thinks I hate her. I don't hate her. Now I can be pissed at her and still keep my eye on her, but not hate her. And
let me make you an offer. If I can get you on the phone with her to work out problems, would you be up for that?
Absolutely. Actually, I'll fly out. I'll fly out and meet her in person.
All right. I will send her. I will send her a text and see if I can.
So I said, so what got me was, this woman had an opportunity from the very, very beginning when she walked in there to ask for permission for herself to carry a gun, which, by the way, she should have never asked when there was already over 40 other members of Congress carrying on the floor. Right? Let me finish. They were already carrying, and then she turns around and makes a big scene of this and asks for permission. So that pissed me off. I'm like, so you couldn't ask for all of the people? Like, you ran on a 2A absolutionist agenda. That was what got her elected, was her whole thing, right? Confronting Beto and the whole deal. So fast forward just a little bit, right? I write her an open letter, invite her to have a conversation with me. She doesn't do it. Okay, fine, whatever. Everybody's like, give her a break. She just got sworn in. I'm like, she turned around the next week and presented 3 bills. Not a single one of them were a gun bill. Not one of them. If she had time to write a bill about masks, she had time to write a bill about, for gun rights or something to that effect. And so it's a little disappointing to see that that's not, that she's not prioritizing that when that's in fact what she was elected for.
Yeah, I see. I see what you're saying. I do. I like Lauren. I think I know for a fact that I knew her before she ran, and she is a 2A absolutionist. But getting off Lauren for a second, what do you think of Marjorie Taylor Greene?
I don't know a whole lot about her. I'm just learning about who she is, but I think she's great.
Well,
right? I think any woman that's willing to throw her beach ball sized lady nuts out there on the table and say, screw you guys, I don't care what you do, good for her.
Well, she just introduced the Second Amendment Protection Act today.
Okay. I've been working offline, so I wasn't privy.
I kind of had a heads up. I have an article coming out on it. Kind of had a heads up of exactly what it's going to say.
So tell me.
Okay, basically, you know how the HAF, because of my article, everyone knows that they talked to the Biden transition team about what they wanted to do and stuff like that. What the top priorities were, and they started changing definitions after November 1st to enforce gun laws and stuff like that. Basically, what her bill would do is defund everything that they tried to change after November 1st. So any law, any like definition they changed, like the bump stock thing, how they were trying to
Yeah,
change the
yeah.
definition of a firearm, for example, with the polymer 80. Basically, that would mean they would be defunded from enforcing their new regulations. So they can change whatever regulations they want, but they don't have any money to go do what they want to do.
I like it.
So
That's
like
awesome.
so those agents that would go out there, the ATF wouldn't be able to pay them. So they're not going to
I
go
love
out
it.
there.
I love
And that
it.
just
Please
came
send
out
me
today.
that, would you?
Yeah,
I'll do a little educational piece on that.
yeah,
and,
I definitely will.
yeah.
It's a good bill.
Yeah, it
People
sounds
might
like it.
say, why didn't they go farther back? But the thing is, it's really hard. So this is one thing that might be able to get through.
Yeah. Baby steps. The fact that she made the effort to do it to begin with is that, right? She actually took initiative and did it. Whereas,
yeah, it's our first bill.
Yeah, and Boebert, right? That's what Boebert marketed herself on and didn't get in. So that's why it pisses me off. And and I have a lot of people giving me heat for that. I'm like, no. If that is your platform, that was it, right? Now Marjorie Greene, she didn't run on that platform. She ran on a 2A platform, but she's already producing these gun bills. Come on, man. So like if I ran for Congress, which will probably never happen because they would see my Twitter and my social media and that would be the end of that. But I would be sworn in, literally the minute I was sworn in, whip that bill out, my first bill, and it would be to repeal the NFA. Done. And would it go anywhere? Maybe, maybe not. I can guarantee you that probably half the people in Congress don't have an idea of what it is because of how old it is, especially the people wanting to ban guns. So, but that's exactly what I would have done. And I was hoping that she would have done, I mean, nothing to that extreme, but at least, with this whole carrying thing, right? She could have written one right away for all American citizens to be able to carry in the Capitol complex, and it didn't happen. So if it actually goes through, do I think Biden will sign it? I don't.
I don't, but that's not the point. The point of the bill,
She made a statement with it.
Yeah, it's a statement. It brings eyes onto the actual issue where there's a lot of Americans might not do it, but if Biden has to veto a bill, that puts it in the American spotlight. Even if it gets to Congress and Congress votes on it, that gets it into the spotlight.
Exactly.
Introducing a bill is not always about getting a bill passed.
127 is a great example. So I had somebody actually mansplain to me.
By the fake cowboy.
Well, yeah. So what's funny is you can always tell people that don't know who I am or the consummate, oh, you just don't need to worry about that. And maybe you need to read a little bit more into that bill. I was like, you must be new around here, guy, commenting on my posts, because Sheila Jackson, nobody's co-sponsored it with her. It's the only one. And I said, this bill, she knows it's not going to pass. This is a fishing expedition. That bill is a fishing expedition to see how many people, what they're going to bite, what they're not going to bite, right? What they're going to be outraged about, what they're not going to talk about. And then what they do is they'll slide that shit into other bills and pile it in the backside of other bills.
Yeah, they always do that.
And try to get away with it because it's not going to be, they're looking for what gets noticed and what doesn't, basically.
Yeah, there's a couple big issues that we need to keep an eye on. One thing is, guerrillas and guns is a distraction, and it might be.
It is a distraction, but that doesn't mean that it's not. There isn't something going on behind the scenes with it.
Yeah, one thing we have to do is watch out for the Senate. Chuck Schumer is a very slimy person.
He and Pelosi both.
And we need to protect the filibuster. Right now, we need to keep pressure on. I'll give you one name, Joe Manchin. He's probably the most powerful person in the Senate right now, believe it or not, because he is the key to keeping the filibuster. If we lose the filibuster, it's game over, man. It's time to go out in the woods with our AKs and yell Wolverines because they gotta stack the court and pass any bills that they want, right? Age
test. I'm feeling a little bit old now. The hubs and I were just talking about that the other day. We went out in the woods and I did some non-firearm related training. I don't hunt. I don't want to hunt don't want to learn unless I have to. I mean, I will. But we went out and, this is his kind of in his lane, right? So we went out and he had me walk in a bunch of dry brush and stuff and start learning how to walk quietly and start learning how to find emergency shelters and stuff. And he went down and around the hill and he's like, Wolverine. I was cracking up.
Well, I have it on my soundboard, but for some reason it seems to have gotten offloaded on my soundboard. I keep on pushing the buttons to make it play Wolverine, and it keeps on telling me not found.
That's too funny. Yeah, it's just people don't. I don't think that people kind of see some of those little ins and outs. Just like nobody's talking right now about stacking the court, but if you think for a minute that that's still not on the radar for them in some capacity, it's there, right?
Yeah,
and they're still looking at packing the Supreme Court too. That's still like don't. There's things that you focus on right away, right? That's all about like leadership and prioritization, right? There's things here, but don't throw these away. Just kind of keep them down, kind of keep them in an open browser to the side, if you will.
Yeah, there's another thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, and that's reconciliation.
Right.
They're going to try to use reconciliation to try to say it has some type of financial stuff to it. To try to get it passed without a supermajority. So we have to watch out for that, because I have a feeling Schumer is going to try that. And he's trying that with some other bills. And I'm pushing back on the other bills that he's trying to do with reconciliation, because if he uses reconciliation for these other non-gun related bills, he's definitely going to use it for gun related bills.
Yeah, and especially if he gets away with it. Right. Especially if he gets away with it. So that's one of the bigger concerns. So one of the things that I did this, I've done it a few times and then realized that when I was doing it was I love to live stream. I'm a conscious stream thinker. I've been a professional speaker for years and years and years and a teacher. And so, working that way, like I can't sit and do YouTube content videos for some reason. It's awkward to me. But so I started doing education on bills. And somebody, and so just last week I did one, or maybe it was Tuesday. I just did it Tuesday. Fuck, it's like I still being home with all this shit. I can't remember what day it is. I did a super basic lesson in how to testify against a bill, because I was invited by my friend, and I think you've had her on. And if you guys don't know who she is, you need to know who she is. She's amazing. Her name is Stephanie Lord, and she won her district, New Mexico congressional spot. And this woman she's like me. She's a domestic violence survivor. She also happens to be a gun violence survivor, and she is formidable. She's physically formidable. She's a drop dead gorgeous redheaded pagan 6-foot Amazon in glittery cowboy boots when she walks in, and this big ass red hair. And she's physically a force, but she's intelligent. She's articulate, and she invited me to join their Zoom meeting and testify against a bill. And I've testified here, and I've, in my own state and so on. And it's really becoming apparent to me how many people don't know how to break these bills down and testify against them. So I did a little bit of that in a live stream, but I had several people during that live stream say, hey, could you do this as a webinar or do this as a Zoom class? So I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start teaching people how to more effectively use their 1 to 3 minutes, however long they get, to have more impact other than just standing up there and yelling, this is my constitutional right and it shall not be infringed. Here's a spoiler alert. We all fucking know what it says. Like every time somebody leaves that comment in one of my threads on social media, it just makes me cringe. I'm like, yes, literally everybody reading this knows what it says, but you've been letting that shit get infringed forever. So when you show up in front of these people and that's all you're saying, they don't hear it anymore. Like they don't hear it. And so Stephanie, I came in and I like broke it down from the back. It was a 3D print bill. I'm like, how are you going to enforce this? What's it going to cost you? Coding is free speech. That's already been established. So now what are you going to do about the First Amendment lawsuits you get, right? And I came in and she said they all, because we couldn't see their faces. She could on the Zoom, but I couldn't. She says they all just stood there like sat there like this, Kerry. They didn't know what to say. And I said that's what kind of inspired me. I'm like, okay, obviously there needs to be more out there that we can start giving gun owners, because I'm seeing more and more. It's awesome. Like my followers, like people coming in, I'm beginning to see people becoming serious about wanting to get involved, but it's incredibly overwhelming. They don't know where to start. So I'm going to start doing little classes on this and do them as a series. If Black Swan Media wants to sponsor it, we can totally have that conversation offline. See what I did there?
Black Swan Media has no money.
Black Swan Media doesn't need to have a lot of money. This is easy to do from my house, and I've been doing it already. So
now, what we've been doing at Black Swan Media, like every single penny that we get has been going to
your niece, right?
my niece, yeah,
absolutely,
yeah, you know,
as it should have been.
Yeah, maybe like once we pivot to another project, because Black Swan Media Group, like all the projects I do, everything that makes money, the money never goes to me. It always goes back into product.
That's
like
We
projects.
the female. Yeah, We the Female's the same way. I became a firearms instructor, and when people pay for my classes, it all goes into that. And so, I mean, we're to the point now where I have started putting it out there. If you're in a community, if you have a school, if you have a gun store, if you're an instructor and you have women coming to you, and or you know of women, or somebody is coming and talking about it, and they can't afford their training or they can't afford their permits, more importantly, We the Female has funds available to help support that and donate. And thanks, Chris, and to help pay for their permitting. So, and training too. But listen, MFers, if these single mamas and abuse victims are coming in, you guys should be discounting that anyway. But we'll help supply. We'll help pay for ammo, because I know that's expensive. But
hey, Kerry,
but we're there to pay for their permits. Yeah,
Kerry, I got something for you.
What do you got for me?
Could you hear it?
Wait, no.
Really? There you go. Wolverines.
I can't hear it.
Really? Oh,
no.
Oh, well.
Oh, man. I'm
Whatever.
Sorry. Damn it. Yeah, so thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. So I'm going to try to get on that, start doing that as much as I can, and breaking it down. And then hopefully it won't be quite as intimidating and overwhelming for people to, especially right now, while everything is done by Zoom, there's kind of no reason to not, right? I mean, because they'll take written testimony. I can tell you they don't usually read it. But put them on the spot. Stephanie did that as a rep, though. The broad that was sponsoring this 3D bill, she starts crying, like super dramatic. I kind of wanted to throat punch her just because of how fake it was. And I talked to a lot of cops, and most of them have said that the guns that they're confiscating from these crime scenes are all ghost guns. And Stephanie said, "Can you give me a number of how many you've talked to?" Well, it was most of them. And Stephanie says, "Well, I talked to, I don't remember how many it was, 5 county sheriffs and this many cops," and she'd actually and she gave the names of some of them that she had talked to, and she said not a single one of them have said that ghost guns are the problem. They said there's a lot of illegal guns coming across the border because they have huge cartel issues there, right? So I was like, but that's how you have to hit them. Like, you just can't stand up there and continue to say shall not be infringed and this is my constitutional right. Like, one of the dudes gets up there and he's like, I command you, work for me, and I command you to do this. And I was like, that's a little cringeworthy. Is it true? Do they work for you? Yes, they do. But we, the people, have allowed them to get away with this bullshit forever. And because of that, they've become emboldened and created ways to stay in power. So that lessens our impact when we tell them that they work for us. So until we start actually taking some more assertive, pushing into aggressive action, and I don't want to say aggressive because I don't want it to be implied that I'm inciting anything. But it's definitely has to be collective. Once there's a unified voice, that's even better. But it's got to stop. And I'm telling y'all, stop. If you see assholes on social media, particularly on Facebook groups, being dickheads to women or about women, or comments at you as men, we women need you guys to help put that shit in check, because I'm telling you, women are going to be the ones that are going to save your Second Amendment. And people don't like hearing that, but that's a lot of men have not liked hearing that. But that is a fact.
Because we were talking about ghost guns.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs a couple of little guns in his hand.
Well,
somebody should Photoshop that in.
Yeah,
But
I
women
agree with you.
women are the force of this, right? I mean, whose voices did they weaponize against gun control?
Yeah,
Women,
I agree with
mothers.
you. I agree with you. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm working on a long-term investigation, which I'm not going to mention too much about, but I'm still digging on looking for a little bit more stuff before I go public with my long-term investigation. But I've been working on it for a couple months now, and I'm continuing to work on it for someone who is a dick to women, basically.
Oh, bigger than that, but yes, to women too. And that's kind of part of the frustrating thing is, right, is I mean, we've got just the to a community for whatever that means, right? Because I don't even know that there's really a cohesive community. I think that term is kind of overused, but and you got all these people out there, and ironically are hypocrites because they sit there and they act the same way that that the liberals or
Yeah.
the leftists do. And they'll act the same way, and they get behind their computer screens and they become social justice warriors, and they start are first class misogynistic dickheads, and then they start talking shit, and then they're acting the exact same way that the people that they profess to hate are. Then you've got a group of people in the industry, men in the industry that do that, and women that enable it. And even some women in the industry have been really shitty. Like if you don't do it the way they want it done, they're not going to want to work with you, and that's not okay, especially when a lot of those women are NRA.
Yeah, well, the person I'm doing the industry person I am like
Oh,
going
I
to
know who it is.
expose. You might know, well, you might know who it is, but
Oh, I know who it
somebody,
is.
well, there was a woman saying, "Why aren't you speaking out against them?" And I said,
Yeah,
and I was like, "Trust me, trust me on this."
yeah,
And they're
you're
like, "But
trying. Yeah,
why aren't you?" I was like, "Because of this," and I told them why. They're like,
yeah.
"Oh, okay, never mind."
It's much deeper and layered, and it's a mess. I know what you're talking about, and I actually have some more information for you
Okay.
on that, by the way. So that came to me yesterday,
Oh,
but for some reason, because I came out and became public, everybody brings me their stuff, and
yeah,
so I've
you
got.
became public about someone. I know that.
And you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. It was Rob Pincus. Fuck that guy. So there you go. I said it. That's who I came out about. I don't know if that's what he's dealing with, but that's who
Yeah.
I've had to deal with, and he's terrible.
Yeah.
More than 50% of your clients and getting firearms training. See, and that's great. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And yet when I explain to men in these groups and when they're talking and they're being dickheads, and mansplaining and talking down to them and telling them what kind of guns they need and this and that and other, they don't realize there are a lot of women that will join these groups and watch, right? Because they're intimidated to ask, they're embarrassed to ask, they don't know how to ask, and if they see those kind of comments, then I don't know who John's talking about, girls and gun. That's who I'm talking about. I'm going to say that's who I have had to deal with. So I don't know what John's talking about.
Mine's a little bit different, but
okay, so see, there you have it. John's isn't the same thing as mine, but regardless, good. I'm glad that somebody is finally working to expose these.
it's hard though. It's just trying to
It is
get people to
hard
go on record, or
because they've gotten themselves into positions where people perceive they have more power than they do for whatever reason, and are afraid to say something. Yet, interestingly enough, the people that once I finally did, how many people came out again? Like I said, I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. It wasn't him. So it was. Do you know what I'm saying? So obviously, there's more than him, and not that surprises me. But above and beyond that, we have. Just the everyday, gun guy in these gun groups talking a bunch of shit, and women watch those things. I've had women come out to me in DMs telling me I was afraid to ask because I didn't want to be, I was embarrassed or this or that. And these women should feel welcome, and they should feel invited, and they should never feel stupid to be asking these questions. And they're looking for these to be resources. Add on top of it, if there's any domestic violence or assault survivors in there, and when you get men in there saying things like, well, if they just left, they wouldn't be getting beaten, or they might as well just shoot them. Like, there's a whole other level of psychology with that. I actually wrote a certification program for firearms instructors to help them understand the DV mind and how to address them. But those people will hide, and they'll stay in their position. They'll stay in their abusive situations because they're embarrassed to come out and they see comments like that. So we women need you men to be more active, because they're going to listen because if men are already like that and they're making those comments, they already don't they don't value women as highly, right? They don't value women as highly as they do men, or value, and even if they say they do, right? Watch their actions, watch their words, don't what they're saying, and if they get triggered by it. But they don't tend to be as shitty to men.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I've been investigating someone for a couple months now, and
not who I thought. So there you have it, people.
I've been talking to a lot of women, and every time I talk to these women, they're like, "Well, you need to look into this guy too. This is what he did."
I can still give you a list. I've been very careful about that.
It amazes me. It amazes me.
Yeah, I'm not amazed at all.
but pivoting here, I am doing a book, a new book that's going to be released in June, and I think it's really needed. It's going to be called either Breaking Down Barriers or Breaking Barriers. Haven't decided. A look at the non-stereotypical gun owner. And basically the point of the book is that the stereotypical gun owner isn't, middle-aged white men do own guns, but the community is a lot bigger. And the community, I feel, is a lot more accepting of people of different races and cultures and stuff than what the mainstream media gives us credit for. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there, but I think we're farther along than what the mainstream media gives us credit for. And that's why I want to write this book. I have profiles from people.
And I completely agree with you. And I think that the book is a great idea, and I'm honored to be asked to be part of that. And I think one of the things that would be great to address, and there's some really great voices out there that don't get heard because there's other people that overshadow them. Like Rhonda Mary is flat out putting it out there, man. I mean, that woman is amazing.
If I could pull up my list of people, she's on the list of people to talk to about.
Yeah, she's pretty fantastic. Yeah. But it's particularly with the black gun owners, right? I work a lot with black gun owners and so on, and in some of their communities, and the media likes to use them as like they're used as pawns, like domestic violence survivors. Interesting. That's kind of a connection, kind of how I ended up kind of in with that, is because in some ways they like to use them as pawns for gun control, right? But now you're even starting to see them being used from both sides, really. For the pro, look at like black people are owning guns, like the 8 million, estimated over 8 million gun purchases last year, almost just shy of half were women, and just shy of half of the women were black women, right? That's kind of the estimates that they're looking at. And so both sides tend to start using that as a marketing thing. And I think that can be disrespectful in a certain light, right? Because you're still separating that. I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. But then there's, the Asian community, right? There's Asians, and then there's Latinos, and
actually,
Martin, Martin runs Firearms Chronicles. He'd be great to talk to.
He's also on my list.
Yeah, he's fantastic, and because he's articulate and he's well versed in what's going on, and not just gets up there and screams I'm Latin, and you should he's got some meat behind him. But there's several others too, that you could do that. One shot, one kill. I love that guy, and he's to me that's the coolest name on social media. One shot, one kill, and he's a content creator. So I'm
trying to stay away from the content creator.
Oh, you want to say more like the advocacy rights kind of thing?
Right. Well, I have a couple that I'm gonna put in there, but I'm gonna do a follow-up book with content creators themselves. But this is more on the advocacy thing. There will be like Hank Strange who's gonna be in this book. Because he does a lot of advocacy stuff behind the scenes. He's a content creator, but he makes content for advocacy. Because I know a lot of the stuff he does behind the scenes. And one thing about Hank is a lot of the stuff he does behind the scenes, he doesn't take credit for. Which actually shows you that he's not doing it for the clout.
Right.
And
Right.
like when I talk about this stuff, people are like, I gave this other person credit for it. I was like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I know what you actually did. Why aren't you taking credit for it? He's like,
Yeah.
because it's better for the community if this other person gets credit for it to pump
Yeah.
them up. And I'm like, all right, that
Yeah,
works
I
for
get
me.
that. I totally get that. And I love seeing people want to become active and that we can push them forward and
Yeah.
start to get them. But there's some sickness in this industry that, and I would say that it exists in other industry, but I came from the beauty industry and I never saw it like that. And that's supposed to be like one of the worst, right? And I never saw it as bad as the gun industry.
Oh, dude, the gun industry, for people that don't know, is dark.
It is really, well, it's cannibalistic and it's all about trying to be famous,
Very.
right?
Oh
And
my
it's
God, it is.
disgusting. And I never really understood why, and like I said, I came from the beauty industry, right? And I mean, I've been on TV, right? I've done, makeup for reality TV shows and done calendars and Seahawk Girl, and all this shit. And I think I might have a credit for the TV shows. I don't know. I never paid attention because I don't care. But I've never seen, my point is that I've never seen an industry be willing to cut each other's throats the way this industry does. And it absolutely blows my mind. And for nothing more than clout. And the women are terrible, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm blacklisted by most of them. And they thought they were going to get rid of me, but bitches, you ain't getting rid of me. So.
Forgot about Dre. It should play that song.
Yeah, y'all forgot about Dre. So
but I get copyright claimed and no, copyright claimed. I ain't paying money to some organization. Yeah, but
that's the point.
I was talking to a CEO of a massive company in the gun world. Just a friend of mine. Outside of guns, he's a friend of mine. So I don't really do too much with him. People don't even know I know him that way because he's a friend of mine from outside the gun world. I met him through the gun world, but we just became friends, and we talk a lot. And he told me like we were talking one time. And he's like I have started multi-million-dollar companies, and I've sold multi-million-dollar companies in all different industries because he's a very, very rich guy. Because this guns isn't the only thing he does. He just happens to own a gun company, but he also owns other industries. It's the gun company is like his hobby, I guess. I mean, it's a massive gun company, but he doesn't run it. He likes guns. So he was like, in all the industries I work in, which is a lot, and I had a lot. I mean, if I said this guy's name, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I watched that guy on TV before." But yeah, he was like, "It's dark."
Yeah, it is.
Right,
It's
without
pretty
saying
bad.
too much, one of his business partners is one of the sharks on Shark Tank. So
it's what's interesting too is that a lot of them that have been in there a long time, they want to grab onto whatever they perceive as the new hot voice or whatever, and so that they can and try and then pull the whole we're going to give you exposure and we're going to help to grow you and so on and so forth, which is great. But when you come to realize they're really doing it to keep themselves relevant. As well. And the minute that you give any pushback or call them on something, then all of a sudden you're out. And that's happened to me a few times. And again, I don't give a shit, right? I create my own lane. I create my own path. I don't care. I don't need these people. I just find it disappointing to see how much it happens in the industry. It's and it certainly doesn't make me want to bring other people into the industry and encourage them to want to be part of something so cannibalistic and toxic.
When I wrote a story back in November about a company, I was attacked by every big YouTuber, every big content creator. People in the industry attacked me saying, "Oh, this is clickbait. This isn't true, blah blah blah." And then December came. And then people are like, "Holy shit, this is true."
And you're like, "I told you, MFers."
I did. And then the same people who threw me under the bus, who called me clickbait, who said I wrote hit pieces, came back to me. He's like, "Hey man, you want to do a live stream with me?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah. You're like, nah, fam, I'm good.
Like, yeah, because you found out that I wasn't lying and like I actually had good sources and I actually did journalism.
Yeah.
I consider myself a journalist, not really an influencer.
No, I would say the same. And that's a lot of people don't realize that there's a huge difference. Well, there's also a difference between a reporter, right, and a journalist.
Yeah.
And you know
I
what you
dig.
see. Yeah, you're right. And what most of y'all see out there is these reporters, and they're only giving you, you know, the talking points or the highlights, as opposed to getting in there and digging into these layers.
Yeah.
And then you know,
Well,
people get pissed because they want to give you the highlights or the clickbait headline as is what the facts are. And then when they start digging more, then you're like, you know, I told you, like, I was in DC on the 6th. I know what happened.
yeah.
And what happened was not what was there. And so when I came out, I was like, Antifa was involved with this. There was all kinds of bullshit involved with this. And I had tons of people unfollow me. I got attacked. I got called names in DMs. I got called a hypocrite. I got called all kinds of stuff. And then what happened a little while later, that dude with the fringe group from BLM, Antifa from Colorado, whatever, got arrested because he walked in with with somebody on camera. Dude, like busting in and stuff and the whole deal. And I was like, I told you guys this was all set up. Now leave your apologies in the comment section. I'm like, fuck you guys. Right. So just, I mean, don't talk about shit unless you were there. Right. And that's huge. Right. Especially for gun people. Like, they're condemning all these conservatives, you know, or gun people that were there. I'm like, if you weren't there, don't talk about it like you were, period. End of story. And that's not just this is anything, you know. Stop trying to be an armchair expert based on a clickbait headline that you see on Facebook or a meme on Instagram, and actually do your goddamn homework. So
Thank you. My old soundboard was going, so I got a new like Focusrite what is it? Focusrite 2i2 pass through. So my old soundboard
I have
was
no idea what you're talking about. I'm sitting here on my laptop with the stock camera, and I'm just going to be starting to become a little bit more active doing stuff. So like I said, I was just getting ready to shop for like a camera, and I have a microphone somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, this is a pretty good microphone, and I got the pass through focus.
Getting all fancy and shit.
No, I had another one, but it kind of was dying on me. That's why my sound was kind of janky.
I love that word.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I love that you're doing this book. I'm looking forward to being part of it. I'm grateful, and I'm honored that you asked me to be part of it. And I think that I think it's got some good opportunities for some lanes outside of, you know, the gun world.
Well, my last book sold 1,500 copies, and it was a Amazon bestseller. So I'm hoping to hit the same thing, and all the proceeds will be donated to something.
I think you will. I think you'll be able to get because it's a different type of book, right? So I think it's going to have even a different market to it, a broader market.
Yeah, I mean, all proceeds of everything that I sell goes to charity.
Yep, that's what I do. Exactly the same way.
I mean,
women.
For people out there that don't know, I consult for a lot of big well, not really companies, but a lot of big government agencies I consult for on like electronic warfare, cybersecurity, like ethical hacking, pen testing, and stuff like that. So that's where I make my living from. So everything else I do, and it pays pretty well for, honestly, not a lot of work. You know, a couple hours a week, you know, 6 figures for a couple hours a week. So I take all the other money I get, and plus a lot of that money, and put towards that. Plus my wife's a doctor, so that helps too.
Well, my husband, he's retires in January and July, but he does. You're getting into his lane of the stuff that he does, and
he's military, right?
For now,
yeah. My wife is 5 years away.
Yeah, they told him they put him in to retire, and didn't tell him, and he's like, okay. He went into his record to find something else, and saw that his retirement date was January 1st, and he's like, and this was December 4th, and he went, okay, so he's an XO, right? I mean, this isn't like a base XO, so this isn't like he's, you know what I mean? Like some just some dude somewhere, right? And so he calls the CEO. He's like, "Did you know?" He's all, "No. Where's your replacement?" And my husband's like, So, and they still haven't said anything to him, which is super funny. And it was, so they do this, there's this special caveat thing that they can do where they can extend shit by contract. Anyway, it's weird. So it bought us a few months because we're going to be, we're moving out of Washington State. So I'll keep my residency here as long as my lawsuit is still going, obviously, with GOA, but we're out of here. I got to get out of the state. It's killing me. So yeah, and that's what the Hubs catches terrorist. Like he's on a whole different. Like he does a lot of the physical stuff. Like I had a full assessment of DC before I went and all that kind of stuff. And like he would have coordinated all the Natty Guard and all of that stuff for any of that. That's the shit that he does, and he takes that intel and does that kind of stuff. And then he works with the cyber guys. Takes the intel with the cyber guys and says, this is how we're going to deal with it. Right. Well, basically, and he creates the shit around it. So
yeah, I do. It's intel / cyber warfare type stuff. Yeah. So I track down terrorists too.
He works with you guys on that kind of stuff. And then he says, this is how we're going to get them. And then he creates the strikes, if that's what it is, or whatever else. And I don't know. I don't keep up with it. I mean, there was a dude that my husband was deployed for 10 months, or excuse me, on a 7-month deployment. And I didn't know till he got home that a dude literally that lived across the street from us in our neighborhood was, I was on the deployment with him. I had no idea.
That's funny.
I got too much shit going on. I don't got time to pay attention to his job. I'm not coming to Virginia, Gorillas and Guns. My husband is actually from there. He was born and raised in Virginia Beach. But I'm probably headed a little further south, maybe Florida, unless he finds a great job in Tennessee. I'd like Tennessee, wouldn't mind being there. But we'll be somewhere up in that area. It could be in one of the Carolinas, but
Tennessee is awesome.
Tennessee is awesome, and the only reason that Tennessee is not necessarily one of the higher focuses is because of what he does. There's not as much opportunity there, and he doesn't want to go into government contracting. He doesn't want to work for the government at all anymore, and because he's over it and they're bullshit. So I mean, because he could walk into a Homeland Security job at a GS 17, or like he could at $100,000+ a year straight away. But we don't want to live near Atlanta. So definitely, especially now. So Tennessee, if we can find something that in the lane of what he does in Tennessee, hell yeah. But we're buying property, and I'm building a training facility and a homestead. I'm going to train trash pandas and goats to be my militia.
Well,
and
with, now that Skylink has launched, you can like get internet service from anywhere.
Like anywhere, yeah. Service. Yeah.
No, well, like not damn near anywhere. Skylink is the whole freaking world as long as you can see the sky.
It's about damn time, because I was, it's always wondered how I can walk into a different room in my house and have a shitty connection, but Bin Laden was broadcasting, webcast from goddamn caves in Afghanistan.
Yeah, Musk is a genius.
Yeah, well, that's one of there were several jobs that SpaceX had that the Hubs qualified for, because they have ships and fleets and stuff, and they need security to do all that, to run that kind of stuff. And so and I have a friend that lives in Cocoa Beach, just a few minutes up from Cape Canaveral. So that was definitely on our radar for sure, because I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine it'd be shitty working for Elon Musk. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe he's a total dick to work for. I just don't think so. There's nothing in there that says
Skylink.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying.
No.
I say no. Yeah, so I think that, I think he did that because I think he's getting ready to launch his own social media network. I think he's working with Trump on it. Just my thought.
I'll talk to you offline.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's what I think is happening. But
I might have a lawyer in common.
Yeah, see, there's just I'm just putting pieces together, right? Because this is what I've been taught how to do. And I'm like, they just activated a bunch of National Guard down in Florida. A lot of people didn't know about that. Nobody really knows why that's going on. Trump has decided to work out of Florida and not New York. Like, there's some shit. I'm like, And then all the
I,
fucking comments on the side, and then Elon Musk, if you watch, right? It's not the big long tweets when he rants, it's the little shit. It's the
yeah,
one
it's
word.
like the one word. Yeah, but I don't think he's working with Trump. I mean, I have no contact with Elon. But yeah, it's like it's funny because he'll just like fuck shit up by
It's
giving one word.
great. I love it.
Like
I love
like
him.
like he tweeted Dogecoin, and all of a sudden the
Everybody just lost their minds. Well, I love it and he literally said, fuck you. I mean, when they were all pissed because he was leaving, because he took Tesla out of California, and they're like, you can't do that. And they tried to stop. He's like, fuck you. And he literally, I believe that he actually tweeted, I had it saved somewhere. But he was like, I'm out. And so what happened? Then everybody started following him. And that's when they kicked back up. I don't know if you caught that, but it came up years ago for residents and businesses, but it was rebirthed again. When he did that, was trying to penalize people for leaving California for taxes. Do you know about that? Where people were going to have to pay taxes for 10 years after they left the state. I'm like,
yeah. I was
okay.
like, good luck.
Yeah, right. What kind of?
I'm like that guy from Taken when Liam Neeson
good
and
luck.
all that stuff. He's like, good luck.
Good luck.
I mean, Elon Musk. He also crashed Signal. He used Signal, and Signal had so many users go over that it crashed all their servers.
Oh, I know. I'm on Signal, and it was a giant pain in my ass to get some messages through for a few days. We had to go back to old school texting.
Yeah, man,
like,
I wish I was that influential that I could just like tweet something like that
and crash systems. Yeah, I know.
The Dogecoin thing was hilarious.
The Dogecoin thing was funny. It was and the GameStop. He did it with GameStop. Yeah, he did it with GameStop too, or GameStop. It was super funny. I think it's great. And I love those guys, man. Good on those kids, man. I absolutely was all about that. And I'm pretty convinced that there were several of those that were some of the boys from some of the redacted boys were involved with that, just based on who I know has made some money on that personally. I'm like, yeah, I think that was it right there. And this is what I think government isn't quite ready for, is that these kids are really savvy, right? And I shouldn't call them kids because they're adults, but they're really savvy, with tech. And not all of them are these liberal, little socialist assholes that they think that they're creating. There's a huge, in fact, I would say more of them are probably libertarian minded or anti-government like me, that doesn't like any parties. And I think that there's a hell of a lot more of them out there than people realize. And
they did a survey.
They're homesteading too, which is awesome.
They did. Who was it? Rasmussen did a survey of high school kids,
Mm-hmm.
and what they found was that they are the most conservative generation since World War II.
I can imagine, and I think that that's great. I remember my daughter telling me about it was right around the time that I ended up going viral and getting thrown into this world. I feel like it was right before. And she was talking about some shit that had been shared on social media and how the media was talking about, it was some Kylie Jenner bullshit or this or that. And she said she read the comments, and then just even in these media posts from news outlets, and then among her friends. And she said, all of us on my age group, she goes, we saw the bullshit. We saw that they were using this to distract us from this. She goes, Mom, we see it. And she's 18 now, just turned 18. And she said, I really believe that my generation is going to be the one to end political parties. And I said, God, I hope you're right.
No.
I really hope you're right. And when I was in DC and I called her, this was the moment that I knew that I had done something right? Because you never really know. And she has her social justice moments, but for the most part, they tend to be well thought out and in some cases justified. And but for the most part, she's pretty anti-government. Doesn't like cops, and as you know, she's very questioning of authority, which is awesome when warranted. And but I told her, I said, I called her because she messaged me. She says, Mom, I just heard, right? Because she actually heard about it while she was in class, because one of the students got all dramatic and said, we shouldn't really be in class, and got all stupid. And she goes to Oregon State University. And so I called her. I said, I'm safe. I was able to get away from the Capitol. I'm not there. I said, I don't, at that point, because that was immediately, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. Right? I don't know. I don't know if this is it and we're going in. I don't know. I said, but as of right now, I'm safe, but I don't know what's going to happen. And if I have to fight, I'll be fighting. And she said, right. And this is when you're as a parent, if you're a parent, you get this, right? You never want your kid to be scared, right? And she just said, you got to do what you got to do, Mom. And I was like, it got through. You know what I mean? Like she heard it. And so she knows that sometimes this is what it's going to be to have to get to that ends. And so it's kind of cool, you know? So if you can just do a check on your kids. If I can give one piece of advice to anybody, and you can tell me to fuck off because, you know, advice is like assholes, right? But check in on your kids more actively than you probably think you are by just getting into existential conversations with them about the topic of the day in particularly social studies and history class, and see where the perspective is coming from, and then sit them down and have full serious education, you know, conversations with them.
Yeah, we've been on for an hour. I want to.
Oh my gosh!
I want to end this on and get your comment about something that you know G Webs, right? Something that he posted on Instagram. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up. I just want to get your opinion on it because it's freaking great. The zip gun with the drum mag, the worst gun ever created. Are you familiar with this gun?
I am not familiar with this gun. What the hell is that thing?
It's called a zip gun, right? That's what it was called. It basically put the company out of business because it sucked so bad. It used Ruger 1022 mags of a 22, and if you look, see the front of the barrel.
Yeah.
See that thing sticking out on top of the barrel? That's how you charge it. So
what do you mean, like
put it into battery. You have to put that's a charging handle that's in front of the barrel.
Wow. What company did that?
It was like U.S. Arms or something. They're out of business now because it
well,
sucks
no
so bad.
shit. What kind of anyway?
You couldn't hold it. It didn't work most of the time. And
no shit.
And you had a good chance of blowing off your finger.
What is it? So
and there's basically no sights on there.
Is the trigger? Is the trigger? It's not like this. It's like this.
No. The trigger you pull back, but there's no handle. There's no handle at all.
What's that thing underneath? I'm sorry.
That somebody put a drum mag on it.
No, that I know. I'm talking about look inside the trigger guard. There's like this U-shaped thing that's sitting right. There's the trigger guard, and then there's this U-shaped thing, and that's what I was thinking. Like you squeeze it like a staple gun, but no. I guess the angle. I mean, I can't really see. I'm gonna have to go look at it now because what the hell kind of see? And this is the shit. This is why we can't have nice things.
I'll bring it up. I just want to get your opinion on this. Because this is when he posted this earlier on, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Well, it's absolutely ridiculous, right? I mean, good on the people that decided to make it and innovation, and they should be able to.
That's not innovation.
Well, whatever, right? Creativity. Maybe I used the wrong word. Creativity. Oh, there we go. Okay, now
it's like a gun. It's gun like my 7-year-old son would design.
It looks like a Nerf gun.
Yeah. So
oh my goodness!
You realize there's no freaking handle. There's no grip on it.
So how is there any videos out there of this thing being shot?
Yeah, probably. I'll bring one up really quick. Yeah, it was the worst thing. He just posted a picture on it. I just thought
I can't.
Let's see here.
Who's that dude with the big shit-eating grin on his face holding that gun thinking he's fucking hilarious? All right, I gotta see this shit. So, but how is he? So it's just sitting in his hand.
Yeah, basically, that's how you do it. Worst gun
girl in gun says, "I want one." Shut your face.
Yeah, that's Ian from Forgotten Weapons.
Forgotten is right. There's a reason that shit was forgotten.
Hey, look, here. If you look right here, he's going to show how you charge it.
Oh my god!
See how you charge it? You had to put your hand in front of it, in front of the barrel. It was designed by someone who's never seen a gun before.
Clearly, this is why we can't have nice things, y'all.
You had to
You.
break every firearm rule just to make it shoot.
I mean, it's a nice little fuck you to the NFA and the ATF. I'm not gonna lie. Do they make a binary for it? Shit. Listen. Shh. We want to be careful about talking about binaries. They haven't figured those out yet.
There is a trigger out there that I would not touch. I'll tell you right now, the ATF is looking at it. It's what is that trigger? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I haven't looked yet. I try to keep up with that stuff, but I'm not. Sometimes I'm a day or two late on it, especially when I'm teaching. Teaching women how to shoot is a little more important, even though ironically it's not. But I've got to. the more women I have shooting, the more women I have voting against gun laws.
Yeah, this is a very bad idea for people to buy. I'm telling you right now.
And that's the shit. That's why we can't have nice things, because that's the shit that people end up seeing, out of the gun industry. And that's the shit that you end up seeing them twist all kinds of bullshit around. Anyway, I could go on for hours. Like, that's a whole other show. Let's do that, John. Why don't you pull up a bunch of stupid guns and we should do a podcast together to breaking down like how stupid some of these dumbass guns are. And
yeah. I'm trying to find this one for you.
Digi trigger?
No, I have a digi trigger. That's actually pretty cool. No, this is
that magic trigger, the digi trigger. Okay, I'm just
reading.
I have
a digi trigger. The electronic trigger is not that bad. I actually like it because it's actually can be used as a standard trigger as well. It's not the Fostech. Oh, what is it? It was by some company. Damn it. Now it's gonna bug the hell out of me.
I hate that.
It's like 3 letters. I have no idea why.
Hey, while you're looking there, I want to tell you guys something, because this is the coolest gift that I've ever found for the hubs. And I mean, I found him some pretty cool gifts. Like for his 40th birthday, I found, an autographed copy of Ronald Reagan's book, and then I found his degree is in history. He's a historian, and then I found it was the last 5 sitting presidents the last 5 presidents that were live together in one photo, all signed and all this kind of stuff. So I always try to find cool stuff, but this is by far and away the coolest gift that I've ever found for him. So for those of you that are history nerds, check these out, will you? It's called Historic Mail. You can go to historicmail.com and you get actual copies of real letters that have been sent throughout history. And then you get, because sometimes they're hard to read, obviously, and then they break it down and they do a transcription of it. So he's received letters that George Washington has written. He's received letters that Thomas Jefferson has written. The Wright brothers asking the Smithsonian for any information on flight, and it was 3 years before they built their first airplane. We have one from Amelia Earhart asking for help for refueling. I mean, just all kinds of really cool ones. But I'm actually going to do a live stream about this because it's so cool. The last letter he just got is like Thomas Jefferson. That dude was a shady motherfucker. So apparently he and Hamilton went at it, and there's all kinds of scandalous bullshit going on in this letter. And he's talking about what happened between them in this letter and how he got this dude arrested with like some bullshit. Because if you remember, if you pay attention to history, he and Adams, right? They were on the outs for a long time, and he called Adams a hermaphrodite.
Yes, he did.
When he ran against him. So, not in so many words, but so this letter that Jefferson, anyway, I can't remember who he wrote to. He just got, the Hubs just got the other night, and he actually came running. He goes, "You got to see this one. This is," and Thomas Jefferson, they outed him about his sleeping with the slave and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, damn. I mean, Jefferson was a shady MFer, man. He's a dirty dude. So, okay, this is it here. So what is it is it a binary?
It's a forced reset trigger.
Okay.
So it's only 2 settings. when you pull the trigger, the recoil makes it so the gun moves forward and the trigger resets.
So essentially, they made a bump stock trigger.
Yes. They don't. You gotta like them, but for their ingenuity. But
I'm impressed.
I don't think. I know the ATF is looking at it.
Oh, I bet they are. That's kind of cool. I mean, I couldn't imagine, like, it's just like the bump stock itself, right? I mean, the whole point, bump stocks themselves, yes, are they a waste? Yeah, but it's not the point, it's the principle, right?
Yeah.
So that's my big thing, but it just looks like a waste of ammo, you know? Mag dumps on full auto are great when it's somebody else's ammo.
Yeah, and instead of saying, hey, we have a letter from the ATF, they got a lawyer to say, I don't think this is a machine gun.
No, it's not even.
It's not,
no,
but I think the ATF is going to consider it a machine gun. That's the whole thing.
Well, I think what they'll do, because what that'll probably happen, if I'm taking an educated guess, what is probably going to come out of that will be if they'll change the definition of trigger, and then all of a sudden binaries will be on the chopping block too, because they'll throw that in there under this broad definition. So that shit needs to be nipped in the bud real quick, unfortunately. So
yeah,
I'm just reading the comments down the side. You're welcome, Gorilla.
Yeah, zip the gun is a result of just saying because you can, you should.
Which I'm not. I ain't even mad about it. You know, I'm really not. I'm kind of impressed with the ingenuity. You know, but like I said, it's only fun when it's somebody else's ammo. Especially at 70 cents a round.
Freaking 22 is 25 cents a round. I'm like,
is that what it's up to now? So
my friend just sold a bunch.
Routine. Oh, did he? My husband has a routine, a very efficient routine for how, because he knows, like I posted about that today, because, you know, everybody's on TJ's ass. I'm good friends with TJ that owns tactical shit. And everybody's always on his ass and talking, you know, just saying hateful shit about the price of ammo. And I'm like, I know personally, that dude is not, he's barely marking that ammo up. It's not him. It's what it's coming into him at. And I'm like, and that's why I made that post. I'm like, fuck you guys. Right? Stop it. Think of it as being an unprepared or a stupidity tax. You should have been prepared. But it's also out there, right? Stop bitching. If you got time to, it's just like I say about, you know, being an advocate for your rights. You got time to sit and scroll through Instagram and make comments on Instagram posts, and you got time to email or call your representative. And it's the same thing with ammo. Take your time and start looking, right, through shit. And the Hubs he finds it, you know, and he can find good deals on it. And by good deals, it's not the same price that it was. You know, he's paying more for it, but you have to be willing to pay for it. And you have to be willing to take the time to sit and look. But now he's got a routine. Like he knows, like here in town, when the stores get their inventory, and he knows all this. So I'll give you one tip before we go on this, right? In your stores, your big box stores, more often than not, often it's Tuesdays they get them in, but check your local store, ask them. Go in first thing in the morning, but don't go to the gun counter. Walk around the store, because this is what the Hubs has figured out. So when they get these inventories in, as they're getting them checked in to their computer systems, they leave them in carts around the store in different areas. So don't just walk up to the gun counter where they don't have anything. Walk around the store and look for the baskets full of ammo. And there you go. There's a little tip for you about helping you guys to find ammo.
Yeah. All right. So we've been on for like a long time, and I gotta go.
Hey, it's all good.
I got a lot to do. I got a lot to do. I gotta write. I got an interview with a couple of Congress people tonight. Actually,
I have an interview that I need to write up. I'll send it to you if you're interested to put in AmmoLand or something. But a friend of mine was called in on a red flag, even though he shouldn't have been.
Yeah. I mean, I'll pass it. I can't get. I don't own AmmoLand. I'm just an employee.
No. You can pass it on.
Yeah. But I can get it to the people that will make the decisions instead of because we get. You'd be surprised on how many thousands of emails they get a day.
I can't imagine. That's why I don't just send an email.
And it's not that we don't want to run stuff. It's just that the sheer amount that we get every day.
No, I get it.
It's hard to get printed unless someone. I started working for AmmoLand. I sent a letter to the editor, and they just happened to open it up and was like, "Hey, I like this guy."
Yeah, yeah. It's a guy. His wife, she tripped and fell in a park. There were witnesses there. They told, this is super short. They told the teachers, right? She told her teachers because she had to go to the emergency room, because her face was all tore up. And the dog, she was at a dog park and the dog tripped her and went down. She went. Long story short, she told the teachers. Teachers were informed ahead of time that this is what had happened. They've got all the documentation, and out of the middle of nowhere, her husband was at work, and the cops come beating on the door and scares the shit out of her. One of the teachers had called in that she was being beaten and came to take the guns out of the house because they knew there was guns in the house. Wow. Yeah. So, and this is in California. So I've got an article being that I'm going to write about this to get out there. But I can imagine somebody wouldn't want that article. But yeah, can you believe that? I mean, like she knew, the teacher knew and still called it in. It's like, and this shit's going to continue. Bottom line. So, hey, thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate that. I'm just reading the comments down the side here. We'll let Mr. Trump get off the thing.
Yeah, I gotta get with this guy. He's my neighbor.
Oh, hi, neighbor. I'm not neighbor. I'm on the completely, literally, I couldn't be farther away from him. Well, maybe if you were in Florida, I could be a little bit further away, but.
Yeah, I've never met him though.
All right. Well, then you need to meet him. All right.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Right. Good to see you. Hold on for 1 second, Kerry.
Yeah, you got it.
For today. I'll see you next week. I just confirmed Amanda Chase will be on the show. Not next week, but actually, yeah, next week. All right.
Oh, cool.
I will see you later. And next week is my birthday. So on Tuesday, I am not going to do a show. And I probably won't be back on Wednesday. I don't think I'm going to do a show on the 15th either. But on I'm turning 45. I'm old as shit.
I'm 46 and I'll be 47. So shut your pie hole.
You know what? I never cuss until you're on the show.
Look at the influence I have.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, VA Wolf is one of the VCDL leaders. I would. So.
Awesome. Well, I'm a resource. VCDL, you ever need anything from me, let me know. I'm out. I work with women. I know how to read policy. I'm a domestic violence survivor, and I usually stop them in their tracks when they start talking because they're not expecting domestic violence survivors to come in with force. So if you guys ever need help, let me know. I'm happy to come out.
All right. Check me out at crumpet.com. I have my Patreon, patreon.com/John Crump. Join GOA. You can actually get a discount. gunowners.org/black-swan-media. GOA does a lot of good stuff.
I'm a member. They're my lawyers.
Yeah. We helped out Kerry.
That's right. They're my lawyers in Washington State right now. So.
All right. And I will see you next week. I'm going to drop a video tomorrow on the firearms the Second Amendment Protection Act. I'm going to explain that a little bit. And with that, we are out. See you. And actually on Saturday, I think we're going to do another live stream of Virginia Reloaded, which is the GOA's new show. All right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I'll see you guys later.